Well, hello, and welcome back to the second half of my Crafter's Paradise wrap-up. Hopefully, the video editing challenged Alyssa will have found some kind of cool transition to do between the sponsor spotlight portion of the Crafter's Paradise wrap-up and this portion. But if not, I apologize. I am terrible. I am pretty bad at video editing. My video editing skills leave a lot to be desired. So the second half of this video is going to be done kind of whip and chat style. Really, I'm going to be kitting up. So I guess you could call it a kit up and chat. And I thought it would be really cool to talk about what my experience with Crafter's Paradise was like. Before I get too far into that, let me show y'all what I'm going to be kitting up. I'm going to be kitting up London Parliament in Winter by Monet from Diamond Dots, and I'm going to be participating in Katie with Diamonds and Washi and Anthony from Single and Placing. They are co-hosting Summer with the Masters right now, and I'm going to be participating in that event. I am not participating for prizes. I am just participating in the community aspect of it. One of the things that I'm going to talk about later on in the video is the friendships that I made throughout this process of planning and hosting Crafter's Paradise. And one of those friendships and bonds that I happened to have made and developed was with Katie, and so I just want to show her some support by participating in her event, and this was the best way for me to do that. I do have my Elizabeth Ward containers here that I'm going to be kitting up into. And the thing about Diamond Dots is that they don't do sticker sheets. And so I have my own sticker sheets. I cut up a piece of notebook paper, and I'm just going to number it 1 through, there's 27 colors. So I'm going to number this 1 through 27 and then tape these onto like the lid and then just keep them in order. So let's just jump right on in. Crafter's Paradise was an idea that started a while ago. Crafter's Paradise was an idea that started in February of 2023. Yes, 2023. So it was an idea that, so Shay from Crafting with Shay was heading to the Red Boot No Frills retreat that is put on by Marissa. I believe her name is the Crafty Heifer. Not only does she do the Red Boot No Frills retreat, but she also does the Lone Star Frills retreat, which I actually get to go to the Lone Star retreat later this year in September. I got to go last year, and I am very fortunate to get to go again this year as well. So before Shay went to the Red Boot retreat, she had reached out to me and said, hey, a lot of us that are going to the Snow Frills retreat, we're going to be having dinner in the Dallas area. Do you want to join us? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I went, and while we were there, Shay randomly said that she wanted, she said that she wished there were more retreats, because as more people have found out about diamond painting retreats, it's very clear that the demand for more retreats is there. But people want to go. They want to make these connections. They want to build these friendships. And I think that's absolutely great. So the demand for more retreats is definitely there. And Shay said, well, I thought about hosting one, but Randy, you can call me Butter, who's one of Shay's, I think that's Shay's best friend, Shay said to Randy, like, hey, you want to plan a retreat with me? And Randy said, absolutely not. Randy said, absolutely not, you're crazy. And so Shay was telling us that while we were at dinner, the night before they went to the Red Boot retreat, and I said, well, I'll do it with you. And she was like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? And that was the start to this, 1 year, was it year and 3 months? Yeah. So 1 year and 3 month journey that we went on for Crafters Paradise. So Shay and I, started talking about, like, are we really gonna do this? And the answer was yes, let's do it. And so Shay said, well, we've never done one before. I've never been to a Frills retreat. Let me bring on somebody that has experience doing this. And I was like, okay, cool. Sounds good to me. This whole thing, like, it was your idea to start this anyway. Whatever you want to do, let's go with it. So she reached out to Kara, the principal painter, and said, hey, we are planning this retreat. Do you have any insight? And do you want to join us? And so the three of us sat down on a Zoom call, and yeah, the rest is history. Then a couple months later, I think it was, maybe not that much later, we asked Katie from Diamonds and Washi to join us. And Katie said yes. Sorry, I needed a drink of water. So that was how the Crafters Paradise Planning Committee came to be. And the great thing, our planning committee was absolutely amazing. We each had our own strengths. I mean, everybody as individuals already has their own strengths and weaknesses. But the great thing about our committee was that where one person might have been a little bit weaker, somebody else, that was their strength. And so we all complemented each other really, really well. And I think that's part of why we worked so well together. So we each had our own little, like, specialty areas. My name is Alyssa. I'm the diamond painting accountant. I managed our money. I'll be upfront and honest. I managed our money. We had a PayPal account that we did all of our transactions through. And me being I do a lot of auditing for a living. I do a lot of taxes, but I also do a lot of auditing. And in my auditing experience, you don't let just one person have control of the money. Everybody has control of the money. Or at least more than one person has access to the money. So I made sure from the very beginning that when I set up the PayPal account, even though it was set up in my name, because in order to set it up under Crafters Paradise, it had to be set up as a business account, and this wasn't a business. So it was set up under my name, but the entire committee had access to the username and the password and the email account that the PayPal account was connected to. So while I did that, Kara is everything I wish I could be in a crafter. She is so incredibly creative and comes up with stuff that just I would never think of in a million years. So I'm a very number-based person, very logical person. I'm not very creative. I like to say that there's a reason why I diamond paint, and it's because everything is already laid out on the canvas for me. It tells me where to put what colors. There's not much more to it's why I diamond paint, because I don't have to come up with that stuff myself. For the most part. I mean, there's a little bit involved when I like to bling up a canvas. I guess you could say there's some creativity involved there, but not a whole lot. I'm not see myself, at least, as a very creative person. And so creativity is one of my weak areas, but it's one of Kara's biggest strengths. And the entire committee was like that, where we complimented each other really, really well. And we got along great, and I don't want to be presumptuous and speak for anybody. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's been a long couple of weeks since I got back from the retreat. I don't want to be presumptuous and like speak for anybody else on the committee, but personally, I never imagined making the friendships with the wonderful ladies that I had the pleasure of planning and hosting Crafters Paradise with, and I hope that these friendships last a lifetime. That is my hope, and that is my goal. It was just an absolute joy and pleasure to get to work with them. So we started planning back in, like, I want to say we agreed to do this in February of 23, and I believe we started planning I think we had our first planning session in March of 23, which is crazy. I can't believe it really did take us over a year to plan Crafters Paradise. And I never imagined that it would take that long. But when you look at everything we had to consider and plan for, yeah, we could have done it in less time, if none of us had lives. To be completely honest, if none of us had lives. However, we do all have our own personal lives, and on top of that, I work full-time, and I know Shay was working she was working full-time for part of our, during this year-long planning journey that we went on, and it's just not entirely, I don't think that for us it would have been feasible to have done it in any less time with our current, personal life situations, and that's just reality. So in planning Crafters Paradise, gosh, we had to start from the very beginning. We had to start, and we decided, like, what kind of retreat do we want this to be? Do we want it to be no frills? Do we want it to be frills? And then we went from there. Once we decided we wanted to do the full frills, then we had to look at arranging sponsors. And I say if because we have not decided yet whether or not Crafters Paradise will be happening again. But we are going to be sitting down to have that conversation very soon. So keep an eye out for that. We will be sure to let you know one way or another which way we decide to go. If I were to do this again, one thing I would do differently, I would change the point in time in which I reached out to sponsors. We absolutely, and I know I said this a lot during the first half of this video, I'm going to say it some more. We absolutely 110% could not have made Crafters Paradise happen without our sponsors. There's no way. We could not have afforded to put everything in those swag bags that we did, which reminds me, even though if you watch the first part of this video, I had the list. I had the list of everything that was in our swag bag next to me, and I still managed to miss something. The one with the diamond art, they put a 3D printed, here's their business card. The one with the diamond art, that iridescent on it is so pretty. There's their business card. they donated a 3D printed cover minder, as I struggle with this, in every swag bag. And I realized that I missed this, not as I was going down the list of everything that was in the swag bag, but as I was packing it all back into the bag, I realized that this had gotten underneath the bag and gotten covered up, and so I missed it. But look at that. That's really cool. I've never seen a cover minder with this kind of texture on it before. It's got a face. Is that like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like a llama? Maybe? But it's in the shape of a heart, and it's kind of like a rainbow filament. At minimum, it's a color shifting filament from green to blue to a little bit of purple down here at the bottom, and that is really pretty. So thank you so much, Kathy, Meg and Kathy. They own the one with the diamond art. They are based over in the UK, and they have a huge wide variety of art available for diamond paintings, including Josephine Wall. And another one that you will see unboxed on my channel here in about a week or so. So be on the lookout for that. So we absolutely could not have made Crafters Paradise happen without our sponsors. But I would change the point in time at which I started reaching out to sponsors. Now, y'all have heard me say it before, I'll say it again. I'm an accountant. I do a lot of tax accounting. I do a lot of auditing. I don't have, there's no such thing as a slow season for me. There's just not. Tax season runs like February 1st through the end of April. Even though the tax deadline is April 15th, we still have to get returns filed for all of our clients that do an extension. And so while that, we get some of those done at the end of April, before May starts. But when May 1st hits, we switch gears and we jump full steam ahead into audit season. And the majority of the entities that my firm does audits for is going to be public school districts in the state of Texas, and governmental entities. And so their year ends tend to be, their year ends are during the summer a lot of the time. And so once tax season ends, we jump headfirst into audit season. Well, audit season really runs May 1st through, I guess, through mid-January. And in the middle of audit season, we have the extended tax deadline, where all of our clients that filed for an extension, their returns have to be filed by those deadlines. And so there's not a slow season for me. There's really not. And so that was one of the things that I thought about in planning Crafters Paradise, was that I knew I had a full-time job. I've got jumping drills. I'm gonna go grab a dryer sheet. I'm gonna keep talking while I go grab a dryer sheet because they are stored right around the corner. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Cool. I knew that in planning Crafters Paradise, in addition to my full-time job, it was going to be a lot. And so I wanted to have like as much of it done as possible during my slow times of the year. And so when we started talking about Crafters Paradise and when we agreed to do it, it was at that point, tax season hadn't hit full-fledged yet. And so I started like using my time then to start reaching out to sponsors. And that was on me. That was on me for reaching out that early. And I found that while, I mean, our sponsors were all great, I found that with reaching out that far in advance, people forgot what they had agreed to. And there was no issue with it. Everybody upheld their agreement. But it could have been better planned on my part. And that's on me. That's 100% on me. That's not on any of our sponsors. That's purely on me. So that's what I would do differently. I would change the timing in which I reached out to sponsors. One thing we had to consider was the venue size, how many people we wanted to have. We wanted to keep it on the smaller side since, where did my tape? Oh, there it is. We wanted to keep it on the smaller side since this was the first retreat that I was going to be this involved in. It was going to be the first retreat that Shay was involved in to this extent. Kara had been on the planning committee of a retreat beforehand, but Katie had never been to a retreat or been involved in planning one. So 3 of us were brand new to this, and so we wanted to keep it smaller. So we didn't want to have more than 30 people attend, which was all well and good, except we had a hard time finding a venue that would fit 30 people. That was the most common issue that I ran into, was that venues would only hold and house 12 or 15 people. And so it was really tricky to find a venue big enough. On top of that, when we did find a venue that was big enough, so we did finally find one that would house and sleep 30 people, which was great. However, this venue did not provide us with food. We had to feed everybody. So then that was something we had to think about. And at first, we were going to cook. I mean, I have a lot of food service experience. I ran a food service at a camp and conference center in the Dallas area for 2 years. And I worked for that same food service for 4 years before I took over running it. And this camp and conference center, I mean, I was during the summer times, because that was the busy season for the camp. During the summers, I was feeding like 900 people, 900 kids, plus their chaperones, 3 meals a day. And so I was like, 30 people, that'll be a breeze. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. No. It did not even like register in my head that the camp and conference center that I worked for, I was working in a commercial kitchen. I was working in a full-size commercial kitchen. And this retreat center was not a full-size commercial kitchen. The kitchen in it was the size it was like a single-family household kitchen. We quickly realized, actually no, we did not quickly realize. Kara insisted that it was a terrible idea for us to cook, and she was right. I will fully admit that she was completely right. If we had to cook every single one of these meals, I would have wanted to tear my hair out by the end of the retreat. Plain and simple. We would have been chained to the inside of that kitchen the entire time. So we made the decision to cater most of our food in. We did set up breakfast Friday and Saturday morning, continental style, where one of us got up, we just turned the coffee maker on and set out all the food, and then went back to bed. And you know what? That was fine. People were very self-sufficient for breakfast. It worked really, really well. If we were to do it again, I would definitely think about doing breakfast like that some more. Like it was great. And surprisingly, it was not too expensive to fund, which was another bonus. So we did breakfasts continental style, and then we catered in lunch and dinner on both Friday and Saturday. We only ended up cooking one meal, and that was Sunday breakfast. And before Sunday breakfast was even done, I think I had said at least 3 times, never again. It did not go the way I planned for it to go. And I really hope that I did a good job of hiding that. I had found a recipe online for like a slow cooker cinnamon roll casserole type deal that looked and sounded really good, and it was really simple. All you had to do was you just had to put all of the ingredients into crock pots and then turn the crock pots on, and then once the amount of time had passed, you just turn the crock pots to warm until you're ready to serve the food. Sounds great. So that's what we did. Well, we put the food in at midnight on Saturday night, like midnight Saturday night going into Sunday morning, which meant that I had to get up and turn the crock pots to set them to warm, because these crock pots were not the kind you could program. I will never again take advantage of my crock pot that can be programmed. I will never again take advantage of that, or take that for granted. These crock pots could not be programmed. You had to get up and manually change the temperature on them, which was fine. So I got up at 3 a.m. because the 3 hours had passed, and went to go set them to warm, only to realize that they were not done cooking. The recipes said to cook on low for 3 hours and then set to warm until ready to serve. And they were raw. I mean, they were raw. So I was worried, but I was also simultaneously worried about them burning. So miraculously, I somehow managed to not wake up the rest of the committee every 45 minutes, starting from 3 a.m. until, what was it? I think 6:15. I managed to not wake any of them up anytime I got up, when I was getting up every 45 minutes, every 30 to 45 minutes to check on breakfast, because I was paranoid about it burning. I think finally they were all done about 6 a.m. And so I got up and I checked on them. They were done. I set the crock pots to warm, and I went back to bed for like another half hour. I got up at 6:30 and I started, because we were going to do scrambled eggs and bacon with it as well. Now, bacon for 30 people can take a little while. It can take a while. However, I had the idea to put bacon on like cookie cooling racks, and once they were on the cookie cooling racks, put those inside of another pan and line that other pan with aluminum foil. That way, when all was said and done, you just gathered up the aluminum foil and threw it away, and you're not worried about grease. Well, that did not work. The bacon was only cooking on one side, and it was taking forever. So in the middle of scrambling eggs for 30 people, I was also frying bacon for 30 people. And it helped that not everybody was there ready to eat breakfast all at once. They kind of trickled in for breakfast, which I think is the only thing that was my saving grace, because if everybody was lined up, people were going to be very disappointed because there would not have been food ready for everybody. So if we were to do this again, no way. It's not feasible. We would have to cater in Sunday breakfast as well. And we would probably do something easy like breakfast tacos or something like that. They're quick, they're easy. Everybody loves breakfast tacos. And if we have anybody that has to leave like super early in the morning to catch a flight from an airport, it's something that's easy for them to take with them so that they still get breakfast. So that's what I would change. I would not cook Sunday breakfast again. Absolutely no way. We were not allowed to, this was a rule specific to our venue. We were not allowed to hang anything on the walls. And I'm going to use the term wall very loosely. The venue, it looks like that initially the venue had been like a single family household. And then they built like an extension onto the back of it. And this extension is 2 stories. And the bottom story is the craft area. And then the top story, the second story, is where all of the guests sleep. Well, this extension, the walls look like the extension part is like, it's essentially like a metal building, almost. You can see all of the pipes along the walls. It's very industrial looking. And it's like it wasn't, like there was no drywall put in afterwards. And they just, it looks like they kind of sprayed everything with like that yellow spray insulation foam. But they said that the walls had been painted, and as a result, we were not allowed to, we were not allowed to tape anything. We were not allowed to glue anything. We were not allowed to put any nails or screws in the wall to hang decorations from. And so we had to get very creative with how we were going to hang the decorations that Kara had gotten for us. And so if you find yourself planning a retreat and you find yourself in a similar situation, look for ways that the venue has already hung stuff, because more likely than not, your venue has stuff hanging on the walls. So look for nails or screws that they already have in the walls and then hang something from there. We did a lot of hanging stuff from doorknobs. But I think that because we weren't able or allowed to hang stuff on walls, it saved us a lot of cleanup time. Cleanup and tearing down was very easy. It was very, very quick, very easy. And it allowed us to get to bed at a reasonable time Saturday night into Sunday. It also allowed us to leave the venue earlier than expected on Sunday, which meant we got home earlier than we expected to on Sunday, which was very nice, because after I got home on Sunday, I was home for 48 hours before turning around and going back down to that same area for an in-person work conference. It was a lot of driving. Texas is very large. For those of y'all that have not been here or may not be aware of how large it is, Texas is very large. So it was a 2.5 hour drive for me to the retreat venue. And then the place where my work conference was like another hour and a half away from there. Further south still. So it was a lot of driving in a very short period of time. So I was very thankful to have gotten home earlier on Sunday than I had initially been planning to. So look for, if you're thinking about doing a retreat yourself, or you're in the midst of planning a retreat for yourself, look for decorations that are easy, quick cleanup. You don't want to have to worry about taking stuff down from walls and being careful about removing tape or anything, because you don't want to accidentally peel paint off the walls. So that is something to keep in mind. All in all, Crafters Paradise was amazing. It really truly was amazing. And like I said at the beginning of this portion, I do feel like I made some friendships and bonds that I really do truly hope will last a lifetime. Katie and Shay and Kara are amazing, amazing people. Most of you that are here, you probably know that. But if you haven't checked out their channels yet, I highly, highly recommend that you do so. That's another thing. So the entire reason I wanted to do the second portion, to do this video in 2 parts, do the sponsor spotlight in the first part, and then talk about my experience with it afterwards, is because we have had a ton of people reach out to us and ask us like, hey, do you have any advice for planning a retreat? I want to plan a retreat myself, or I'm going to plan a retreat myself. This is just some of the stuff you have to think about and consider in planning a retreat. And through planning a retreat is how I made these friendships and bonds that I really, truly do hope will last a lifetime, because these women are just amazing. They bring, I'm going to get sappy here at the end, and they're going to cry if they listen to this, so I hope they'll listen to this. They truly were, and still are, just absolute rays of sunshine. They bring joy into my life, getting to talk with them. I know that there's not much that I can't talk to them about, and they have been invaluable to me, and I will be forever grateful to them for really helping me feel like I have found my place within this community. So Katie, Shay, Kara, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for this amazing experience. If y'all have tuned in throughout this entire video, because I'm sure it's quite the long one. I'm sure it's going to be a longer one. It's going to be longer than most videos that I have put on my channel so far. If y'all have tuned in this far, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, and you are still listening to me ramble on and on, you'll probably like it here. Feel free to hit the subscribe button below, and if you click the little bell notification button, you'll get notified anytime I post a new video, and I hope to see y'all around here. Yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna end this one. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Shay, Katie, Kara, again, thank you so much for the experience of getting to have done Crafters Paradise. I loved absolutely every minute of it. There's really no other way for me to say it. I really, truly did. And I mean it when I say that the friendships that I made with y'all, I hope will last a lifetime. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. Bye.